All right, welcome back to another episode of Crestview Leads, where I, Tim Bolduc, get an opportunity to sit down with people who've had influence in my life in the area of leadership. And today I've got a good friend of mine and one of my councilmen. We've worked together now for over 5 years here at the city of Crestview. Mr. Andrew Rencich, welcome.
Yep, thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, man, I think it's going to be a good time. Yeah, Andrew and I, so Andrew was getting ready to come onto the city council. You had run unopposed.
Correct.
And they had were about to advertise or about to vote on the charter amendment to determine whether they'd have a city manager or not. The first time I met you, actually, it was not the first time I'd met you. I'd met you at some gun shows and stuff, but the first time we actually had a conversation, I went to visit you at your store to try to see whether or not, because I knew you would be a councilman, to see whether or not we'd want to work together. And I don't know what you remember from that conversation, but I was left there going, I don't know if this guy would vote for me.
I thought we had a pretty good conversation.
I enjoyed the conversation.
I knew what we were going to be moving into in the future was going to be better than what we had in the past.
Right.
And ultimately, that's what we're trying to do, is just make every day better than the last.
Make it better. Yeah. So before we get off on that, though, because we're going to talk about that, like why would you get into local government? I always like to give everyone an opportunity on here to so people can get to know you a little bit. So tell us about yourself. Obviously most people around here, or all people know you around here as Andrew Rencich, city councilman. Some people know you from AA Tactical. You've got a bunch of other things going on that people don't know, necessarily don't know you so much about. But before you were Councilman Rencich and before you were building AA Tactical, tell us about yourself. Where are you from? How did you end up in Crestview? That kind of stuff.
So we came from Bragg in 2011. The Bragg realignment, we moved 7th group to our new home here, Camp Bull Simon, from good old Fort Bragg, and I'm still going to call it Fort Bragg because that's what it is until the day I die.
Right. They just changed that, right?
They changed the name. Yeah, I don't remember what it is, though. It's Bragg.
Yeah.
And so in 2011, we moved here, and we really set roots. So my wife, my 2 daughters, daughters have gone through the entire school system. And once we settled in, we knew this was where we were going to stay for as long as I'm going to be on this earth.
Right.
And so we started just continuing to invest in the community. And so went from being a U.S. Army Green Beret to on a daily basis to a business owner on a daily basis. I tried to do both for a duration of time. You know, we started the first company in 2013, and I made it all the way to 2018 before I exited service.
Before you decided to actually get out. So how many years did you serve?
14 active.
Okay.
And then I still go play guard. I
duty.
got to finish up my 20. I'm 2 years out.
Right. So, so in the guard, do you do the same type of activity you did at So for those who don't know, most people around here have a general idea, but basically, what does the 7th group do?
7th group.
That you can talk about.
By, with, and through. We train host nation. We are partner forces. We go into environments with the Colombian military.
Right.
We work with them or other militaries.
It's a region, right?
South America.
Right. So it's the group that handles South America.
Correct. Yeah. And our job is to make sure that we have the right people in the right places to ensure there's stability on our southern border. Yeah. And there's a lot of other stuff that goes on, but our primary is to ensure that we're working with we're teachers.
Yeah.
We go in, we teach, we work with hosts.
Empower, really, right? So you guys, when we talk about by, with, and through, so this has been you and I had a chance. We were at a conference or something. We had dinner together, and I got a chance to get what I felt like was a pretty good understanding of what by, with, and through means. And it was pretty fascinating to me about what it does, because a lot of times people think, that if it's the 7th group, that it's it's a special forces unit, that it's what you see in the movies, and there is some of that, but the reality of it is it's really about going down and empowering countries. First of all, trying to convince them that democracy is the way to go.
Correct.
And then protecting them from those that would keep democracy from happening in that area, but also to kind of work with them. So it's the by is beside them, the with them is using them as
force multiplying.
Right,
force multiplying. Yeah. So you can never. You can get things done as one, but you get a lot more done when you're in a team.
Right.
So the more you can grow that team in the same vision, the same mission, one city, one mission,
right.
the same, everybody's leading in the right direction or the same direction, whether it's right or wrong,
sure.
then you have more horsepower behind you. So that's the goal, is to go down with a team of 12 or team of however many you got at that time, and at least if you're on that type of mission set, and you go train and work with, and then you go back a year or two later and you cycle through, and so you start to really establish relationships with those those they're raising through the ranks, you're raising through the ranks, and you just hope everything keeps going in the right direction.
Yeah, and South America for us is an incredibly important front right now, with what is often referred to as the pacing threat and China's interest on our side of the world. And those kind of things, and we can get too far into all that, but I mean, really and truly, what happens here at Eglin, at Camp Bull Simon, at Duke, those things, getting us ready at Eglin.
Well, our entire, our community, and I just ran for county commissioner not too long ago, and our military is our mission,
right,
and our tourism's our mission, and those right now are our only two stilts,
right.
So until we have a third leg,
right,
we're on stilts,
right,
which means we can be pushed over. We are a very strong economy, so that'd be hard to do, but you're always stronger with the third.
Well, and you came over here on a base realignment, and
correct,
so that same team could leave on a base realignment.
Correct.
And right now we're looking at 4 to, anywhere, depends on who you talk to and at what time of the year, but it's anywhere from 3,500 to 6,000 different, potential jobs coming this way through different mission sets that could very easily go somewhere else. And then if those mission sets go somewhere else, the stuff that here to support them could also go.
And that's one reason why local government is so important.
That's right.
Because what I'll say is, and all the way through to Congressman Gates' office, traffic, housing, childcare, all those things that everybody's been beating the drum about, those are all real critical problems. If we can't actually fix or not, you're never going to fix it. You're going to best work with it, or get better outcomes, but we're not going to gain those missions, or we're going to potentially lose those missions. And so as we do that, then our entire economy is...
Listen, you and I are on the same page as it relates to government in general, and like what the importance of making sure that government honestly stays out of the way.
Get out of the way.
Right. So really and truly, like people like us go into this business not necessarily because we think we're going to make economic development happen with government. We're actually going to keep government from messing up economic development, right? I mean, really, that's what it comes down to.
Well, that was the primary reason why I ran for council in the very beginning. Let's
talk about that.
As a young entrepreneur, or middle-aged,
whatever. You were young then.
I was young then.
That was pre-gray hair.
Pre-city.
Me too, actually.
Yeah, and the first development, our AA tactical building, it took 16 months just to get the development order read. And that's for a local family. That's not somebody coming from Cincinnati or Chicago or New York. That is somebody who lives in the community trying to invest a very large sum of money.
Right.
And create jobs within the community. And so that holdup showed me, black and white, night and day, that there was room to be improved, and that room was government structure change. That room was efficiencies in how the government operated, and since being on the council and since the new form of government, I mean, our development orders are done in 3 months, or less, and that a lot of that depends on if the developer builder gets the comments back in time.
Correct.
So it's not on the city anymore.
Right.
It's the
But just think about that, right? So you were at that time you were still toting a gun. You were still in full-time military while you were building AA Tactical. If you don't have a paycheck, if you don't have another form of income, it's a large development, right? So I mean, we won't talk about the note, but I'm sure, or the cost of it, but I mean, it's a big dollar investment down there. It's a 2-story building. It's all block. It's top of the line. It's beautiful. And so you've got all that leveraged, because to get the money, to put the money together, to do all that. If you're not working somewhere else and the government is sitting on your project for 18 months, that's where economic development goes to
Stalls.
die. It's where it dies.
Yeah, and one thing also, I was told numerous times by individuals, I won't say any names, obviously, but most of them, I'm pretty sure, don't work for the city anymore.
Right.
And they said you're overbuilding for the community. Why would you do that? This doesn't
Why would
fit.
you spend that kind of money in our neighborhood?
And well, I looked at it like security. First of all, double block entrances, block buildings, storms. We got one coming our way.
Right.
Why would I want 1,000 firearms just to get blown all over the road?
Right.
No. So it's solid core block. It's reinforced. It's probably a pretty strong building.
Sure.
For the area.
Yeah, no doubt.
So that was why we did it, and so that was a hurdle on its own. I had somebody who wasn't necessarily an engineer, not somebody who wasn't a security expert, telling me that I was putting something in that didn't fit.
Right, and also, I mean, the reality of it is, you had the potential, or you had the ability to kind of see the future as far as the market is concerned, and so now that building fits great in the market, and as we continue to, it's actually a catalyst for North 85. And so as we continue to improve buildings moving up and down North 85, that's kind of the benchmark of what we want to aim at.
Well, and that's the same catalyst that we're working on downtown.
Oh, absolutely.
We've been pushing for the CRA and trying to get investment, but one of the problems is it was the cart before the horse.
Right.
And you can't come in and buy a dilapidated or in much needed repair building and then wait because you don't have anybody on the road after 5 o'clock. Now that we've redone the at least the first 3 blocks, you can already see how open it's going to be. You could see, Gordon Martial Arts redid their building. It looks great compared to what it was. And so as more and more of those buildings, I even have a property across the street from that we're going to be, once I'm out of the mix and I get done with a current project I'm working on, we're going to jump over there and put something else in.
Let's talk about that project right now. So I always, because this is a leadership podcast, I really want to talk about this, because you and I talked about this over that same dinner, where I was like, why in the world, you're good at you got a successful gun shop in town. You were running gun shows and doing all that. You guys are very successful at that. Then you decide, just all of a sudden, no background, no history, I'm going to go in the manufacturing business. It blows my mind. So help me understand, how does a guy go from, toting guns in foreign countries to selling guns in this country to manufacturing? How does that happen?
So what I'll say is it kind of all plays together a little bit, because so toting guns in other countries, guns, selling guns in this country. We were doing small manufacturing on firearms, and then realized the margins and the market and stuff of that nature just didn't necessarily fit a business model that I wanted to push, but the aerospace industry did. Right. So we have wanted to be in the manufacturing sector for quite some time, because the economic output from manufacturing 7x multiple compared to a lot of your other jobs. It's not that other jobs are bad, don't get me wrong.
No, I got you.
But that product gets touched by it's a higher wage job, higher skill set, and so it's more advanced. And so we bought our first machine December of 2019. November, December, and zero experience. I had a great mentor that showed me how to do some of the programming stuff, and then I just ran with it. Yeah. And
I absolutely love that story, Andrew, because it's like, you know what? I didn't have sense enough to know I shouldn't do this. I didn't consider the fact that Crestview's not the place to build parts for Elon Musk and SpaceX and all this nonsense. And
now we're doing that.
And now you build parts for Elon Musk. It's just so like, because because this podcast is a lot about leadership, and people that watch it are often interested in, what are things that I can pay attention to and grow. I love it when you've got when I can bring someone on who inspires me in the way, because I've had this conversation with you 10 times probably. It's like, what made you decide? And it was basically that you just either didn't know any better to know it wasn't a good idea and did it anyways, or wasn't going to be told no.
Yeah, partially both. We wanted to make parts in America, and then that changed into make parts in the Panhandle, and now we're making as many parts in the Panhandle as we come. And so, we got Fort Walton Beach and Tim McDonald, and
they've
down
been doing it for years.
They've been doing it for years in the south end of the county, and I want Arrowhead to be the north end of the county leading aerospace company, and we've got some heavy competition.
Sure,
but within what we're doing, our model, our job shop, we're up to 11 machines now. I'm building a brand new facility off of Green Street. So that's phase 1, 7,200 square feet. Phase 2 will be 12,000 square feet. Yeah. And we'll be going vertical with the building starting hopefully next month.
Yeah, but what I love about that is again, not to beat a dead horse, but it's just like, we're going to be the best. And it doesn't matter that maybe nobody else thinks we are, or that people think it's a bigger deal than you took a dilapidated chicken plant. Right? Isn't that what that place was?
It was an old Gold Kiss chicken facility.
Yeah, it's an old chicken plant. And then you put some high-end equipment in it, some computers, and went to work. And started manufacturing parts, and now you're manufacturing parts for...
And now we're up to 14 employees. We just hired. We got one more interview. Should be having somebody else start here in another week or so. So it's just trying to keep up.
Yeah, I love it. One of the things that you have, and I don't know if you're I didn't prep you for this, so it's okay. You cannot be mad at me. You've got a sign that hangs up in your warehouse, and it's a sign that you hand out to people about not making excuses. And so we were sitting in your warehouse one day. I think I'd stopped by to talk about something on the agenda, just in your role as a councilman. I was there to prep you on something, and you showed me kind of, and this is really like the kind of the basis for which you kind of hire and run on. How much of that can you think of off the top of your head?
Well, that photo you're talking about is
talk about how we got there.
A lot of times people get in their own heads, and so that biggest problem with when you fear, you worry. When you worry, you waste. No, that's fine. So this is something that is it something you came up with? I found a base, and then I modified it
to match your kind of approach to how you were going to handle the challenges that come up in front of you.
Correct. And I always say point to the green sign, or I look at the green sign. So when somebody comes in and they're upset, or they messed up a part, or they did something, and they're worrying about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Let's not worry about 5 minutes ago.
What do we need?
We need to continue moving forward. When somebody just has a negative attitude, read the green sign and get out of my office.
Right.
Like stay positive. You working with employees. Yeah. And you have many more staff than I do, and everybody has a different way of being reached. And so saying look at the green sign, it's got 12 different variables. They're fitting into one of those right now. Yeah. So you're not necessarily being like poking them in the eye.
No. It's but it's an established set of, kind of parameters. So like what we do with core values and guidelines, focus areas on the strategic plan, all of that stuff. It's this idea that we're going to set out an established set of guidelines that everybody is going to know going into the job. This is what is expected of me. And if for some reason I can't keep up with it, then I'm going to have to, there's something that he can point to show me. So did you find it?
Yeah, I found it. And so, I'll go through them real quick, but how to be mentally strong, and green's my favorite color. Yeah. And so that's the reason it's green. But, number one, don't fear alone time. A lot of people worry about being alone. Yeah. Sometimes, you need that quiet time. You can get in your own head and you can think. And so I won't go too much on these because there's 12 of them, but don't dwell on the past. That comes to what I was just saying about, you can't fix the past. You can make adjustments. You can use it as a learning point, but you can't necessarily go back and change anything.
Right.
This isn't Back to the Future. Don't feel the world owes you anything. As soon as you get a chip on your shoulder and you think
one of my favorites
that somebody owes you, like I'm owed this, I deserve that.
Right.
You automatically start taking yourself out of the fight.
Yeah.
So don't expect immediate results. And this is a lot of business owners. This gets them in trouble because I'm going to invest $5,000 and I'm going to make $50,000.
Right.
Maybe in 10 years.
Right.
Okay. Well, but if that, you got to go into that with, I'm going to make this, and I'm going to gradually, I'm going to.
Right. Well, the same thing's true. And I mean, that plays true with just about anything, whether you're developing your professional skills, your personal skills, whether you're on a diet, whether you're working out, exercising, learning a different language, whatever it is that you have to do. It
takes time.
That's right. And if you don't set your mind to that from the very beginning, then you end up getting frustrated early on.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, how many times you get thrown in jiu-jitsu?
All the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're getting better at it, though, right?
Well, it's been a while since I've been back, but yeah.
Don't worry about pleasing everyone. So this is one of the biggest ones for somebody who's in political office or in a leadership position, because you cannot please everybody. You can try and pick the best decision that's going to help the most, or their second and third order effects that a lot of other people don't understand or know about. But you just got to continue moving forward.
One of the things I liked about that too, Andrew, and watched you do it on the council. So there were times, I've worked with a lot of city council members, a couple of different jobs. I've been doing this almost 20 years. And so I've worked with a lot of them. One of the things I always knew was that I could count on you to stick to the things that were your core values and what you said you were going to promote in office. And so if it was economic development, I knew you could count on it. If it was protecting private citizen rights, you were going to do that. And so when we got into the tricky conversation about smoking and whether we were going to allow smoking in the park or not allow smoking in the park, regardless of what anybody else's position was, you weren't worried about whether you were going to upset me. And, even though we're friendly, or your fellow council members, it was, hey, these are the things I ran on. I'm going to stay true to who I am and not worry about whether I make people happy.
Well, and there's reasons to flex on some of those things,
sure.
but it takes a lot to actually have to flex, or a good justification. Other than just a feel good story. And because a feel good story gets everybody's emotions, but it doesn't actually fix a solution.
And it was never about the thing for you is, if you changed your mind, it was never because you were worried that somebody else was going to think a certain way. It was that we had provided to you the proper amount of data.
Substance on a justification for why.
For sure.
Don't waste time feeling sorry for yourself, which is actually one of my favorite ones. Because in selection, when you're going through, we call it self-selecting. So you're rucking along, you're going, and you don't miss the time. You miss the time. Well, so automatically in your head, you're like, man, they're going to cut me. They're going to cut me. They're going to cut me. So you automatically start telling yourself and you quit.
So selection, this is selection for SF?
Correct. Okay. So, and different events throughout the military. And so you automatically start saying, oh, they're going to cut me. And as soon as you start mentally telling yourself you're going to get cut, you already cut yourself.
That's right.
And so if you do that, others see it, it bleeds. It's just best to let the boss be the one to pull you to the side. Let that cadre tell you, hey, you're going home.
Right.
Don't be your own ticket home.
Yeah. Don't self-select yourself out of the equation. I love that.
Don't waste energy on things you can't control.
Right.
I
do that.
I quit watching Fox News. Yes, I'm in local politics, but no, I cannot go to the border and stop it. I cannot go build a 40-foot wall.
Right.
I can't. I mean, those are...
Send them some parts.
Yeah, I'll send them some. You need some nuts and bolts. We'll get a lathe. But it's not something that me or you...
Right.
I mean, we can be an advocate at different levels, but we can't... people's blood pressure goes way too through the roof because they worry about things like that. Well, there's reason, but you got to always be... what you can do.
Yeah, I would say we stay informed, but it doesn't control us.
Correct.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
Don't let others influence your emotions. This is one where you can get baited, especially in local politics. I mean, in politics of any type, or business dealings. You say something. Sometimes things are said to get a reaction or an action out of you. Yeah. You're playing Texas Hold'em. Yeah. You cannot let somebody know that when they get you frustrated that you fold.
Yeah.
Or that you are automatically going to side with them. Right. You have to make sure that you're still making your own decisions and that nobody can, your sunglasses are always on.
Yeah, no doubt. Because as soon as Dane Tosi was on here on the podcast. He's a SEER instructor over at the 919th, and does some other stuff over there, but that's one of the primary things he does. And he talks about, when you prep people to go into a situation where they could get kidnapped, they do some anti-propaganda training. And a part of that is, he says, the main thing I try to help them understand is, as soon as they decide to participate, then I win. Mm-hmm. And so as soon as, so what does that mean in the real world? You and I deal with, we did it last night at a council meeting. There are certain people who go around and try their hardest to suck us into a fight we shouldn't get into, because they can be wrong 100% of the time.
We can only be wrong once.
Yeah. And so I love that. Don't let somebody else control your emotions and bring you. My dad used to explain it this way. He used to say, we don't fight with pigs because they'll drag you into the mud and beat you with experience.
Correct.
Or moron. He used to use morons too, but that's cool. What's next?
Don't resent other people's success. Emulate it. Yeah. So I always want to see other businesses succeed. Yeah. And one thing I'll say, early on in business, I saw this firsthand. So Jay Woodbury Guns, and I worked for them a little bit behind the scenes, and when we stood up the gun and everything was going fine, he was happy. He said, "This is amazing. You're doing such a great job." It wasn't like, "How dare you? I can't believe this." It was, "Hey, get out there, get it. You're becoming a business owner." It was another military retiree veteran talking to another military.
And Jay's all American. He definitely wants us to be Jay is just like yourself. He's all about the American dream. Go earn your space. When you earn your space, I'll support you along the way.
And live it, and be part of the community.
Yeah, just fantastic.
Don't quit after the first failure.
It's a good thing I didn't. Yeah.
Yeah. Those they can be dangerous, but you always got to try. It's kind of like the machining thing that you brought up. Right. I mean, we could have failed at that.
Yeah.
I mean, but we didn't. Yeah. If we wouldn't never started, then we would have never known. No. So that's and then fear taking calculated risks. Whether it's the stock market, whether it's business, whether it's relationship, whatever it may be, everything in the world is there. There's always some type of caution.
Yeah.
But if you worry too much about or overanalyze, you don't actually ever take the first step. And so part of it's taking that first step. So, and in this, I highlighted 4 main points, and I kind of listed them so they all work together. But fear, worry, waste, and quit. So when you fear, you worry.
Yeah.
When you worry, you waste, and when you waste, you quit.
That's fantastic.
So these 12 things, it's posted on my door. I've given them to several other business owners and just leaders within the community.
Yeah. We're going to post it in the bottom of this if that's all right.
That's fine. And every day I see it. I keep it on my phone. Yeah. And when I'm having one of those, or one of those midnight nights trying to make sure I get parts out to whoever I'm making parts for. Yep. It's on my door. I can look up.
I remember one time you coming into a meeting. I don't remember where we were at, whether it was an actual meeting or you were somewhere. But anyways, we were somewhere together, and you guys had just had some parts not pass or something, and you were like pulling your hair standing straight up and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, "Man, that's horrible. What do you do?" And he goes, "Well," and you said, "Well, I make some more and I took some more jobs." And so in other words, it was just basically like, well,
learn from it.
And so I made them again. But then the best part about that, Andrew, to me, and you have no idea in the course of the conversation what's actually being said to me, right? But you were like, "You know what? This is how you said it." You said, "Well, I fixed them and I took some more jobs." And then wherever we were at, I can't remember where it was, but the whole time you were, doing your job, but you were taking orders on your phone the whole time. And I remember thinking to myself, that's how you don't get beat, because you just don't quit. You just don't quit. You say, okay, now I just got to make some more and put in some more time and some more effort. That's cool. That's good stuff, man. I love it. We'll put it down in the bottom of the comments. And so, believe it or not, we're almost out of time. It's hard to, I told you it wouldn't be that hard.
It goes fast.
It goes fast. But before I let you out of here, I want to ask you the question I ask everybody. I didn't prep you, so we'll give you some time for this. But I always like to ask, when you look back over your career, over your life, and you think about people who you came in contact with that were in a position of leadership in your circle. So that doesn't mean they were necessarily overranked you, but they were just somebody that you looked up to as either a positional or influential leader. Who is that? Who name somebody who, or give us an idea of somebody who had influence in your life in that way, and what about them made them somebody you wanted to be like? Is there anybody you can think of? Anybody along the way that kept Andrew on his track?
Well, I will say, and it's not because you're sitting in front of me, but
Lord.
The way you move and the way you keep you orchestrate everything, I will say that I am impressed by that.
Well, I certainly wasn't looking for that, but
yeah.
thank you.
God, I've had several leaders throughout the military that I've emulated, and that's gotten me to where I am today. Yeah. I already mentioned him once, Jay.
Jay's a good one.
He allowed me, is probably the better word, to dip my toe in the water and didn't throw me out.
Yeah.
He allowed me to test that and there, now we are where we're at.
Yeah. Right, all of that from, hey, I'm going to sell some guns, getting licensed, doing your thing.
And so he didn't have to let me do any of that. No. He could have been like, no, this is my show. Get out of here. And he said, man, more power to you. No. Get out there, get after it. And I knew it hurt his bottom line ultimately, but there's enough market for everybody to get along.
Yeah.
You just got to look at different markets.
Yeah. Those are good ones. Yeah.
If I had to say one other person that I don't have much experience with them, but what I will say in the experience I have had with him, and that's Charles Reynolds.
Oh yeah, Charles was on the podcast. So if you haven't watched Charles's podcast, watch it.
Okay, his motivation. I sat down and had lunch with him a couple weeks back.
So you can't leave there not charged up.
Correct, and he has one of my green signs. He found out about it. He wanted one, and working with the kids, making sure that they get on the right track.
Yeah,
because sometimes the roots is where you got to start.
No doubt.
And so by getting them early and making sure you keep them in the right direction, he's been doing amazing things with the lawn barber and so, just interactions with him. If I'm bringing up somebody from another business community, he's been great.
So they said, so you teased at the beginning. Now, so you're about to go off the council. You messed around with county commission, not going to be doing it this time. Will you be back in politics again?
I don't know. I've had a lot of people tell me to stay in there, and I've never done politics because of the money or because I'm so and so. I've done it because it was what was better. So I can't make the answer to that until I get to that point in my life, and then I'll have to determine at that time with the circle at that time and decide on
what else you have going on.
I've got a lot of employees that depend on me, so I have to weigh all of those. And my philosophy with my green sign is everything happens for a reason. And so I've been back off the campaign trail for a couple weeks now, and it's amazing. I don't know if my team they are
taking those jobs.
Oh yeah, they're Andrew's back. Yeah. But that allows us to continue to hire, continue to grow, and continue to make parts in America.
One of the things, I love that. One of the things, and I'm going to close up on this one, but one of the things I love about it is when you were running, people would ask me, what do you think is Andrew's motivation? I said, I know what Andrew's motivation is. I've worked with him for 5 years. I said, I've never worked for an elected official that literally gave more in cash than he made in a year as an elected official. When COVID struck, the city put together a grant program where we took BTR business tax receipt dollars, and for those of you who don't know, we took that money and then we awarded it to businesses that were closed in the 2 weeks to slow the spread. So we gave it to restaurants, hairdressers, massage people, gyms, those kind of people. Andrew owns a gun shop. Gun shops were still rocking on, and Andrew, in the middle of the council meeting when I asked them to approve it, Andrew said, put us down for $5,000. And so they wrote a check instead, elected officials don't make $5,000 in Crestview. That ain't how that works. Hardly over the course of an entire year. And so by the time you travel and go to the south and all that kind of stuff, they don't get any gas or anything. He wrote a check for $5,000 and handed that in, and that was the catalyst. We then collected another $35,000 from other businesses in the community, but it started with you. And so when I tell people the story about who Andrew is as a city councilman, this is what I remember. You had a project you couldn't get through, and you could have done what everybody else does, which is whine and complain about it, blame everybody, do all of that, and you said, nope, there's a system that can be fixed, and I think I'm the guy. And so you got in the race, you got elected, you pushed me to be better at what I do, you forced me to be creative, to make sure that we were efficient in everything that every question, anything I brought to you, if I was spending money or cutting money, it was, is this going to make us more efficient? You did that, and then when the chips were down, you took your own money and you invested it in your community, and I've watched you buy buildings and do things like that. And so I'm proud to know you as a friend. I'm proud for the work that you've done here. I appreciate everything that you do, and I appreciate you coming and hanging out with us for this.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. So, all right. Well, for those of you who watch the podcast, we appreciate it. If you like what you see here, go ahead and share it. We're on all the different podcast platforms. If there's somebody you'd like for us to bring on or a topic you'd like for us to cover, go ahead and put it down in the comments, and we'll be happy to do that. Thank you again for watching us, and that is why Crestview leads.